I think it was only Cheryl. I think it was only Cheryl and Dorit last week. I'm almost sure. Not recording. I'm sorry. My internet's really bad today. Okay, there we go. So today we're going to review chapter 11. In chapter 11, we learned about the Rasha. Okay, there's two levels in a Rasha. The Rasha is the opposite of the Tzaddik. So the two levels, one level is a Rasha Vitovlo, a Rasha who has good, and his opposite is a Tzaddik Viralai, is a Tzaddik who has bad. Why are they opposite? Because in both cases, there's different levels there's different ranks. So for example, the Tzaddik Viralai, the Tzaddik who has bad, there can be different degrees. It ranks from a little bit to a little bit more. It can be more than 1/60th, of course. But there's different ranks of that evil within the tzaddik who has bad, okay? In a tzaddik who's good, a complete tzaddik, there's no ranks. He's just a complete tzaddik. That's it. It's unlimited, okay? A tzaddik who has bad, his evil, first of all, is so small that it's not felt. But in that small level, there can be lots of different levels. And that's why in the tzaddikim virale, which are more than complete tzaddikim in the world, there's very, very few complete tzaddikim and throughout the generation, like literally a handful. But a tzaddik virale, there's a little bit more. And in there's different ranks and different levels in the tzaddik virale, depending on how much of that evil is within them, goes in different ranks. So too for a Rasha who has good goes from someone who has someone has a little bit of bad within him, but it's still within him and it's still expressed, to someone who has a lot of bad. Everything is bad, just has that guilty conscience that is that good within him who makes him feel guilty. Okay, so that's how they're opposites. Now, a Rasha Virale, we can get confused sometime with a Rasha Vitovlo, a Rasha who has good, we can get confused with a Benoni. A difference between the Rasha Vitovlo and a Rasha Virale. Who remembers what's the difference between a Rasha who does everything good? Everything is good. He does Torah, he does mitzvahs, he thinks about it, his speech are holy, his actions are holy, but he's a Rasha. And then there's a Benoni who also looks the same. What is the difference? Where does the difference lay? The difference is within them. Within them is the capability. A Benoni is incapable of sinning. His conscience is so alert and aware, his conscious about Hashem and the importance of keeping, that he will never be able to sin. He is not capable of sinning. His good empowers his evil hand, even if he does everything good, right? Because he understands that we have to follow what Hashem wants, and he does everything good. He is capable of sinning anytime. He wasn't challenged in that way. His evil is much stronger than his good side. And because his evil is stronger, that makes him a Rasha. So it's all within. We can't even tell. We can't even see it on the outside in his action, thoughts, and speech. So that's the ideal Rasha Vitovlo in the rank. And then it can go lower. It can be someone who will only do it outwardly. They will only talk good and do good actions, but in their thoughts, they won't be good. Or it can be the opposite, someone who has only holy thoughts, but their actions are not going to be good. So there's different, it really can vary, and it's most of the Jewish people are Rasha Vitovlo, because we come into this world to work and to change and to become better people. And the only level we can reach is a Benoni, is when we are able to make our good side more powerful and stronger than our evil side. That is the goal in our life. It's not to become a tzaddik. We cannot become a tzaddik. A tzaddik is given. Tzaddikim are born with that extra power to become tzaddikim and to eliminate evil within them. But we can come a Benoni. A Benoni is where your good is more powerful than your evil side. Okay? Or it's equal. Equal or more powerful. The minute your negative is more powerful, your negative side is more powerful than good, that's when you're a Rasha. So it's really internal. It's not something you can see, and everyone has could evaluate themselves and can come to their own conclusions. But the beauty, okay, when I started learning, I remember back a long time ago when I was younger, and I started learning about, what a Rasha really means. You start questioning, you think you're a good person. How can you be a Rasha? What does that mean? And I remember asking a question that I think by relearning it with you guys, I got my answer. I remember asking a question, is it possible that for certain things we are tzaddikim, and that for certain things we are Rasha, and that for certain things we are Benoni? I remember asking that question, and I don't know, for some reason, either I didn't ask it properly or he didn't understand me, but he completely dismissed my my answer, the rabbi who was teaching this chapter. And today when I was researching, because I wanted to really, my questions, I want to answer them for you guys. This is the way I learn, is I'm giving you the question that comes up to my mind. And I don't know if it comes up to your mind, but this is my question I had. And I saw a beautiful answer by Rabbi Manis Friedman, where he said, for example, there's a mitzvah, a commandment not to kill, right? The commandment of not killing, in this commandment, most of us, hopefully, are a tzaddik, right? That even in our thought, we won't think of killing. If you have thoughts of killing, that's a different thing. Then you should work on it. But for certain commandments, okay, everyone has different commandments. Hopefully, by killing, it should be for everyone. That the do not kill is so strong and innate in us that we're at a level of a tzaddik. That means when it comes to the mitzvah of or the commandment of do not kill, it is so innate in us that even under any circumstance we will not kill. The mitzvah of believing in God, okay, for some people, again, I'm talking for some people, it's so innate, but it says that most people have a very most Jewish people have, and some people that are, of course, are believers in God. It's so innate in them, believing God and the love for God. Sometimes it's even hidden, but when faced in a certain situation, it will come out, and they will never be able to give that up. Okay, so that in that sense, they're tzaddikim. So in certain aspects of the Torah, we can be that level of a tzaddik. Okay. I actually saw last week when, or maybe it was I think it was last week when the whole anti-Semitism came really strong. I think Biden said the Jewish people should not walk out with their kippahs and should protect themselves and be careful. I don't know if it was Biden or maybe someone in his political team said you should be safe and maybe not outwardly, like maybe put a hat or not outwardly put a kippah. And I saw someone post that he said, I never wore a kippah before, but since this happened, I am wearing a kippah. And someone answered him, why? He's like, because I should never be embarrassed about who I am. So this person, okay, I don't know who this person is. I'm not judging him. I don't know his level, but even if he never outwardly expressed his belief in God, okay, wearing a kippah is showing that you believe in God constantly, that God is on top of you. It's that reminder. Maybe outwardly he didn't believe in God, he didn't do anything, but when he was challenged, it brought that out, and no one was able to take away his belief in God. So this answer from Rabbi Manis Friedman, I thought was beautiful, that inside of us, not only do we have a potential of being a tzaddik, a really far potential where we're going to be able to reach when Mashiach comes, but also in certain aspects, okay? And I think I see that in everyone, no matter where you're holding. It says that the Rishaim are full of good deeds, okay? So a Rasha is not really a bad person. We're full of good deeds. In certain mitzvahs of the Torah, certain commandments of the Torah, we are like tzaddikim. Certain commandments, we cannot even think of it as being bad, right? Normally, something that's sinful, we should look at it with distaste and with hate, right? We learned that's what a tzaddik, he hates anything that's not godly. But certain things we don't hate, and we desire, and we can't stop ourselves from doing. So in that aspect, we are a Rasha. And then in certain aspects, in certain commandments and mitzvot or sins, we desire, we don't look at it as something bad, but we will never be able to do it. Okay? And in that aspect, we're like a Benoni. So we really can find ourselves in those in certain things. I don't think for sure it's not only a pez, it's a reality. We're good, we're inwardly good, and also we have to remember that throughout the generation, the work that was done from the previous generation comes with us. We don't just start from nowhere. We're connected to the previous generation who was connected to before, who was connected. If we're not advancing in somewhere, then what's the point of Mashiach coming if we can't, So we did evolve as a people, we did evolve as a human being, and we hope we did. Even if we don't know we see it, we do see the world as being chaotic, but I think all the bad is coming out. Before Mashiach comes, it's coming out, it's surfacing. It was always there. But right now it's surfacing, just like when you need to bust like a pimple, you have to take out the pus on the surface. So what was I saying? So we are part of that generation. So work that was done from previous is still within us. And within us, we can sometimes find our little tzaddik and sometimes find our little Benoni. And our Rasha is where we have to work. Our Rasha is the level where the evil side, the bad side, is overpowering the good side. And as soon as the bad side has more power than the good side, that's what makes us a Rasha. So it's all about internal. Even if our actions, our speech, and our thoughts are Torah thoughts, if inwardly our bad side is stronger, is more powerful than our good side, this is what a Rasha is.
We have to work on it.
We have to work on it, and we are, and that makes us that we're capable of sinning. Okay? Now, I wanted to, this Shabbos actually, so also another question I had when learning this chapter where we learn about Rasha and that most of us are Rasha. Rasha is called wicked. It's someone who does a lot of evil doing. It's very hard to hear. Okay, for me, it's very hard to hear. We like to believe that. I like to believe I'm a good person. We all like to believe we're good people. So we have to understand what is evil. I know we learned about Klipa, and we learned about Sitra Achra, the other side. And we touched upon evil, but here I'm going to bring you a different aspect of evil, something I was trying to look this morning to understand what my question is and to be able to answer it. So what my question was, what it bothered me is, for me, when I think of evil, I think of people that are really bad, okay? Like the extreme is criminals, or not even, sometimes criminals are not evil. Criminals are just not educated or whatever. For me, evil, I think of, Hitler, the really, or any, the people who crashed into the Twin Towers and killed so many people. For me, that is evil, okay? So I don't want to be compared to those people. Mm-hmm. So it bothers me to be called someone who's a Rasha, wicked, evil doing. I wanted to understand how could we be put into, are we put in the same category, or how can we connect that? How can we be a Russia when, we're good people, we're not doing evil, or like a criminal, I mean, is a criminal really bad? Is it it's very hard. So it's really hard to define evil. So let's understand first something that I heard on Shabbos, and that my husband reminded me. He shared something and he reminded me, and I thought it would be beautiful to share with you. And there's even a beautiful, what time is it? There's a beautiful article, but we don't have time. I'll send it to you. You guys will read it. It's a very well written. Back before the world was created, right? Before the world was created, it was only God. There was nothing. There was no time. It was just God. Okay? So when God, I guess, I mean, it's very hard to say when. There's no time with God, okay? But before creating the world, he created the world of Tohu.
Tohu?
Yeah, the world of Tohu. Anybody heard about this? Anybody familiar with the world of Tohu?
Tohu in Hebrew? Or
Tohu is in Hebrew. Tohu means chaos, okay? God took his infinite light, his light of goodness, of kindness, his really high light that only has good, and try to put it in vessels. Now, when you try to take something so high, so good, so infinite and limited in a vessel, what happens? It's like putting super hot water in a glass cup. It busts. And that's what happened to the world of Tohu. The world of Tohu burst, and all those pieces of beautiful, infinite light and goodness fell into our world. And our world is a world filled with broken pieces of Tohu. It's a world of chaos. This is what we see. We see our world is a world of chaos. There's no harmony in our world. I mean, besides nature, which is beautiful and harmonious, but there's no real harmony. You don't see how God can be in this world, and there's only good in this world, and there's infinite good. It's very hard to see it, especially sometimes more than others, okay?
Where do we know from word of Tohu?
Okay, so beautiful. The article I want you to read. The source of Tohu, the Arizal. Did you hear about the Arizal?
No.
The Arizal was a Sephardi, big Sephardi rabbi back in, okay, I'm gonna share you the
Non, mais c'est pas dans la Torah qui parle.
Non, ça c'est caché dans la Torah, mais c'est pas, no, this is big secrets of Chassidut, of the Kabbalah, okay? Le monde de Tohu Vavohu. Okay, this was written Rab Chaim Vital, and then the Rabbi Yitzchak Luria. Okay, he was a big Kabbalist, and he of course, after he came after the Zohar was written. So after Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, I don't see what year, but he dwelled into trying to go higher and higher into Kabbalah until he realized that all the secrets are really down here in this world. Why? That's where he came with the concept of the world of Tohu, where all the pieces of infinite came into this low world, and that's why we have to work in this world, in the material, in everything, in our Russia, in our selfish, egocentric animal, all these things, in everything in this world has a piece of Tohu. And that
is another word for evil?
So wait, no, it's chaos. It's called chaos. Okay, chaos is that infinite light that broke, that became no harmony, that lost its harmony. Okay, so anything chaotic in your life, anytime you have that struggle, that is from the world of Tohu. Everything really has that piece, and our job is to take that piece of Tohu and find harmony and elevate it. That is where it's translated into evil. Evil is, here I'm going to find you where it says, it's a beautiful article, and I know we don't have time to read it. Where's my, I wrote it, j'avais mon livre. Okay, I'm going to share it with you, but I'm going to go back, I'm going to stop this share.
Go back anyway.
And I'm going to say, so what is evil? Evil comes from this world. It's an artifact essentially fictitious, arising from temporary state of disorder. Okay? And by reordering the world, evil disappears. Okay, so by understanding where the source of evil, you remember when I said back then, when I said that the klipa is really comes from a really high source, but when it comes down to this world, that strength is taken away from it. So that's where the
from tohu.
klipa is from tohu. Klipa tohu. Okay, it expresses himself in a klipa. It's the shell. So yes, so tohu is that really infinite light. Again, I'm trying to repeat things that huge Kabbalist taught us. It's very, very deep. I'm just, with my little mind, I'm trying to explain it to you. There's obviously more to it, but it's basically that infinite light that came into this world and broke. And because it broke, imagine a room full of shattered glass. You walk on it, it hurts. It doesn't look good. It's not, but when the glass is in a cup and you can use it, there's nothing wrong with glass. Okay, but when it's broken, it's not good. Our job is to take these pieces and to find order. How do we find order? How do we bring those pieces to find order? By taking those pieces and using it for godliness. By taking anything physical, any aspect in our life that's physical, that's chaotic, and by bringing it, using the Torah view to elevate it, that's where we bring order to it, and the evil disappears.
By what? By praying?
It depends what the situation is, but you know, when
how we can take out the chaos, like
how do we take up? It doesn't. So very interesting. So how does chaos go? It doesn't just disappear.
Yeah.
It says that the more you focus on goodness and kindness and doing the right things, the more the evil and the chaos disappears. It says that when Adam and Chava, okay, were in the world, in Gan Eden, the world was perfect. The snake came, okay, and Chava didn't really notice the snake because she was in that state of perfection. But the snake had to try to attract Chava and get her attention, okay, because for her, there was only goodness. The snake was not important to her. She wasn't even looking at it. It could have passed, and if they ignored it, actually, they probably would not have sinned. But the snake came, and he told her a lie. He told her, is it true that you're not allowed to eat or to touch the tree? Okay? Wait, what did he tell her? I'm just trying to remember. He told her a lie because the commandment was don't eat from the tree. And he told her, is it true that you cannot touch the tree? I think that's what he said. And because he said that little thing that was a little bit different, that's what attracted to her. That's what made her realize he was there. And then they had a whole conversation. And by having this conversation with him, she gave him strength. She gave that snake strength, and he was able to convince her to eat the tree. Exactly. So why am I saying that? Because evil within itself does not have power. It does not have power. It has no power. It's fake. Hashem created a world of goodness, and then he wanted goodness. He wants harmony. He wants a world of light, and he does not want, because he does not want anything that's not harmonious, anything that's evil, anything that's not good. That exists also, right? But it's all a means to an end. It exists for us to be able to have that free choice and to be able to become better people and to dig within us and to choose goodness over bad, or darkness, light over darkness. Okay, so it's still there. It's not fake. But how does it become strong? Is by us giving attention to it. For example, so back to where my question comes: how can we be evil? We're not evil people. We cannot compare ourselves to any big forces of evil that really try to destroy the world. But how do these forces get strength? By our little actions of feeding into fear, doubt, anger. This is our personal evil in our lives. By feeding those things, it gives more strength to the bigger to the bigger evil. So fighting our Yetzer Hara, fighting our evil within it, really has an effect in our little microcosm, in our little world, and later, of course, it has a bigger effect on the bigger world. So every time you are able to diminish the strength of evil within you, you're diminishing the strength of the evil within others and within the bigger world.
So again, can you please define evil according to Tanya?
According to Tanya, evil is not something that is bad in itself. It's source, okay? Only when you go to the source. When you go to the source, it comes from a very, very high light of Hashem, an infinite light. When it came down into this world, it broke. Because it broke, it's chaotic, and it has no meaning. It has no strength to it. The only way we give it strength is if we feed it.
Attention and everything.
We feed it by being fearful, by being hateful, by being angry. But if we take it and we find harmony, if we use this and we use it in the right way, in a holy way, we elevate it instead, and the evil disappears. It's not there. So evil doesn't really have strength on its own. The strength comes from us.
This I understand, but what
So the view of Torah on evil.
What would be the evil for comme... Parce que là, tu apportes une nuance, mais ça serait quoi la définition de...
La définition de...
C'est quoi? Est-ce que c'est quelque chose qui...
Je pense qu'on peut pas définir evil. I'm not here to define evil. I don't think I'm someone who can say what is evil, what it's not. I just know that evil is anything that takes away from good, from godliness and good. Okay. That goes together.
So it's a notion.
Ça devient concret. The minute you give it strength, it becomes concrete.
So it can be a person.
I don't think, someone could, if someone feeds, they can, inhabit, but I wouldn't, I guess, Hitler so maybe fed onto that he became evil himself, but I don't know his, how he was as a kid. I don't know. I'm not here to define really. I don't think it's things. No. So why am I saying this? So I don't want to define. That's why I said I'm rephrasing. When I said my Tanya class, I'm rephrasing it to the Olam of Tohu to explain the source of evil, that it really comes from an infinite light. And how do we understand that infinite light that broke, that were in kalim that couldn't handle them, in vessels that couldn't handle them, and they broke? And the article is beautiful. You can read the article. It's going to explain. And again, evil is I'm going to read it again. Evil is an artifact, essentially so it's a fiction. Okay. It's not, but arising from temporary state of disorder, okay? And the more you feed it, the more strong it becomes. Once you take this evil and you use it either by staying away from it, that's one of the ways, or by elevating it and using it, you're bringing order and the evil disappears. Okay? And there's so many different aspects from the mitzvot, from the emotions, from the thought, speech, and action, like in everything you can. So it's really very big. You really have to see how you can apply it. But again, essentially, I'm not here to define what evil is. I just want to understand so we can understand why we are called a Rasha. Yeah.
Parce que tu expliques que what you're explaining, that evil can disappear if we elevate it. That's the concept of Tikkun Olam.
Yes, exactly. That so actually something very interesting you'll see it in the article, is that Olam HaTohu, the pieces fell in Olam HaTikkun. And the whole purpose of creation is that we take this light from Olam HaTohu and we put it in vessels of Olam HaTikkun. We take infinite light and we put them in vessels of finite, in a finite world. It was impossible. That infinite light wasn't able to stay in a vessel. But our mission is to take that infinite light and put it into finite vessels. And that's really what our work is. When we come down to this world, only human beings through Torah and mitzvot, through goodness and kindness, through spreading godliness, were able to take those lights, those infinite lights, and put them into vessels. And that is what the goal of and again, it's a different, we said it in a different way. It's elevating those sparks, is eliminating evil. It's all the same thing, but it's different aspects of understanding, because to understand God and the way he functions, it's very hard to grasp. So we have to bring so many examples from different angles to try to a little bit understand what these concepts are. But these are very, very high concepts.
Olam Hatikun, 2 mots là-dessus.
Olam Hatikun, c'est ce monde. C'est ce monde qu'on travaille. C'est vraiment le monde de se travailler. This is our world. Olam Hatikun. Okay. Any questions? Okay, so let me go over. I made I like to do a worksheet because it helps me, and I hope it helps you guys also. I printed it out for you. So I'm going to share, and we're going to go over the worksheet I made.
What makes someone...
Oops, sorry.
What makes someone a Russia?
Yeah, Russia Vitovlo. So this is what makes someone a Russia in general.
Someone who's not observing Torah and mitzvot.
Okay, so that's the easy question. But according to Tanya, we want to know, according to Tanya, what makes a Russia? I wonder if it's possible that there's somebody who doesn't observe Torah mitzvot and is still a tzaddik.
No.
I guarantee it's possible.
Au moins un Benoni, mais pas.
I guarantee it's possible. What makes someone a Russia?
Ça serait bien. Someone who overtake his evil.
Someone who
Completely.
eliminated evil from within him. I'll tell you how it's possible. You know how it's possible? There's certain people, human beings, that don't have to keep Torah and mitzvot. They're either not healthy or whatever for a certain reason. And for me, those people are tzaddikim. They're not keeping any. If they have no evil within them. So I think it's so beautiful how the Tanya views people. It doesn't view them outwardly. It really views them on their inside work. Someone who's a Russia can be doing everything good. But if inside of him, his evil force is stronger than his good force, then he's a Russia. Okay? So that's what makes someone a Russia. What are the ranks of a Russia who has good? Okay, so in a Russia, there's a Russia Vitovlo, and there's different ranks, okay? I don't know if you remember what we learned. So there's the rank of someone whose thought, speech, and action are all, godly, like they do Torah and mitzvot.
Action what?
Does Torah and mitzvot, it is all, his thought, speech, and action are all holy. Okay, so that's one extreme. And the opposite extreme is someone who does nothing but feels bad every time he sins, has a guilty conscience. Okay, so I took both extreme, and of course there's everyone in between. So in a Russia, it can go from someone whose thought, speech, and action is holy, and they learn Torah and they do everything, but his potential, he can sin anytime. He was just not challenged. His evil within him is stronger than his good within him. And that means he's capable of sinning. That makes him a Russia. And then it goes to the total, everyone in between, someone who maybe only has holy thoughts, but his speech and action are not so holy, then someone who has the opposite. Anyways, different ranks until to the lowest, someone whose thought, speech, and action is not holy. They don't do anything, but they feel bad, and they feel bad, and they don't want to do it. So the fact that they feel bad, that means the good within them is awake, and they're connected to it, and they don't want to do it. They're just their inner, their evil is stronger than their bad side.
But si thought, speech, action are holy, why is he in Russia? I forgot about
Because he wasn't able to
remove completely.
No, he wasn't able to make his good side stronger than his bad side. So he's constantly fighting within him. And anytime he can make a sin.
Who thought speech
Yeah.
action are all holy. So
Yeah.
it means he's doing everything.
He's doing it, but within him,
Yeah.
he has the capability of sinning anytime. He just needs to be challenged. He's going to sin.
J'ai compris.
Okay?
Okay.
So that's very important to understand. And that's what makes him different than a Benoni. A Benoni is not able to sin ever. He will never sin in his whole life. And since he became a Benoni, it's impossible for him to make a sin because his good side overpowers his evil. And even if he has some temptations and some desires, he will never be able to make his bad side overpower his good side. Because the minute if he is able to, that means he's not a Benoni. Okay, so it's very important to understand that.
C'est une bonne nuance, ouais.
Yeah. How is a Rasha who has good the opposite of a tzaddik who has bad? So the Tanya actually starts with saying vizele umadze, that this opposite, the opposite of a tzaddik, the opposite of tzaddik who has good is a Rasha. The opposite of a tzaddik who has bad is a Rasha who has good. So how is that opposite? Who has bad, there's different levels. There's a little bit, some who has really, really little, someone who has a little more. Okay, it's still very little the amount of evil they have within them, but there's different levels. In a tzaddik who only has good, a complete tzaddik, he has no bad, no evil whatsoever, so there's no ranks. Okay? In action, who's holy, but has a little bit of bad, has whatever it is. There's different ranks, but it still stays within the rank of being a Rasha who has good.
Je suis pas sûre que j'ai bien compris. Ils ont des niveaux, tu disais, de combien ils peuvent avoir de evil inside them, right?
Yeah.
But what a tzaddik has not.
Okay, let me re-explain that.
Sorry.
Okay, Cheryl? What was your question?
Well, just this.
Okay, so I'm going to re-explain that. A tzaddik. What? I don't hear you. What?
The voice cut out and we couldn't hear.
Oh. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, I hope it's not going to cut out. So I'm going to repeat it. A tzaddik who has bad and a Rasha who has good are opposites. Okay? Everything is created with an opposite. These are the two opposites. So a tzaddik who has a little bad, remember, a tzaddik, he has no evil within him. But in a tzaddik viralai, somehow in his love for God, he has a little trace of evil that's so small he can't feel. But in this little measure of evil, in this little trace, there are different levels and ranks. Okay, and because there are different levels, that's why he's compared to the Rasha who has good, because his good is also in different ranks. One Rasha is going to have a lot of good. One is going to have a little less. One is going to have really little. But all of them, all this Rasha who has good within him either way. He has to have good. If he didn't have good within him, then he wouldn't be the Rasha V'Tovlo. So that's how he is the opposite of a tzaddik virala. It's not that important. I just thought it was interesting that the Tanya starts v'zele umadze, that this is the counterpart of that. So I'm just trying to explain you how they're opposite each other.
Okay, mais le tzaddik V'Tovlo, est-ce qu'il a quand même un peu...
Tzaddik V'Tovlo a zéro.
Oui, il a zéro. Verarlo, pardon. Tzaddik Verarlo, lui, il a different levels aussi.
But it's, first of all, the bad that's within him is so little.
C'est une trace.
C'est une trace, sorry. But there's still different levels. So too, within a Rasha, it's very little good, but it's different levels.
Okay, parfait.
Okay? So, I guess the good and the bad within the tzaddik viraloi, and the bad within the tzaddik viraloi and the good within the Rasha V'Tovlo is as small. That's where it's compared. That's where it's opposite. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Should we continue?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, let me continue.
What is the difference between a Rasha who never sins and a Benoni?
Yeah, so this is what we discussed. There can be a Rasha who never sins, and a Benoni, of course, never sins. What's the difference? Is that within them, the Rasha who never sins, his good is still weaker than his evil. A Benoni, it's either equal. The evil and the good has to be either equal, or the good has to be stronger than the evil side. But it's impossible for the good side to be weaker than the bad side. And that's where they're different. And it's a very big difference because a Benoni will never be able to do a sin. A Rasha, even if he did mitzvahs his whole life, because he's a Rasha, he has the capability of sinning anytime. And our work is to try to become a Benoni where the good overpowers the evil. Okay? How can we find in us a tzaddik, a Benoni, and a Rasha? So inside of us, we can find a tzaddik by all the things, all the mitzvot, all the commandments, or the commandments not to do, like do not kill, do not steal. If we keep those like a tzaddik, that means it will never come into our subconscious that we want to kill someone or we want to steal. Then this is where we're keeping that mitzvah like a tzaddik. This is where we can relate to the tzaddik. If certain mitzvot we keep, we desire, but we don't do it because we're too embarrassed or because our conscience is too strong, but we still desire it, then that's the mitzvot we keep as a Benoni. And a Rasha is anything of course, that we desire and that we don't keep. So it's mainly for the tzaddik and the Benoni is when you have things within, like integrity, certain things that are very values that are really strong to you, that you're never even going to desire. It looks disgusting to you. You don't like things that you don't want to do. So that's your side of you where you're tzaddik. And the Benoni is things that are you still like, you still desire, but you will never do. And then the Rasha is anything that you're not in that, you didn't conquer yet. You still desire and you still can't stop yourself from doing it. So I think it's nice to know that we can find different aspects in our life. Okay, what are the three types of Avera and how are we forgiven? So last week, the Tanya was talking about the Averas, that there's three types. It's actually written in the Tanya. There's three types of Avera. There's one where you don't do a mitzvahs aseh. That means God commanded you, let's say, to keep Shabbat. Okay, that's a positive commandment, and you don't do it. So any positive commandments you don't do, if you feel bad right after, okay, this is a Rasha who has good. If you feel bad right after, God will forgive you on the spot. Any mitzvah that are negative mitzvah, that means lo taseh, you shouldn't do. And if you break that, that means you do something that you shouldn't do, then you are forgiven on Yom Kippur. That's when you're forgiven. Then there are actions. Yeah. Then there are actions that the punishment is with kares. Okay, it's with a killing. So this you need to go through cleansing and suffering and pain in order to be forgiven.
Sorry?
In order to be forgiven, you have to go through a cleansing of suffering and pain. And the fourth one is Chilul Hashem, is any time someone embarrasses the name of Hashem. The only atonement is death. Death is what separates the evil from the good in that Avera.
Attends, excuse-moi, la 4, c'est quoi le nom?
Chilul Hashem is called desecrating the name of Hashem.
Ah, Chilul Hashem.
Desecrating the name of Hashem. And this one, the only atonement is death.
Ça, c'est le maximum des avérotes, c'est Chilul Hashem.
Je crois, I guess it's one of the one that's the biggest punishment. Okay? I wrote 3 types, but I meant to write 4 types. So that's my mistake. Sorry about that.
So, Chilul Hashem, ça, j'aimerais vraiment savoir c'est quoi.
Chilul Hashem is anyone who desecrates the name of Hashem. How?
C'est how, okay, important.
I don't know.
Like how? Is it just by not being a good Jew?
No, I don't. What does not being a good Jew mean?
Non, ne pas faire les mitzvot, par exemple.
No, I don't think so. It's really embarrassing. I don't know.
Ça,
I know as a kid.
Poser la question plus tard, parce que c'est vraiment important.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know as a kid we were always, every time we went out on trips, my parents were like, "Don't do Chilul Hashem, don't do," because we're wearing kippahs, and I mean, like, we look like
Right.
religious Jews, and my parents were always like, "Don't do a Chilul."
C'est pas bien?
No, like, don't misbehave. Basically, it was their way, but I don't know if that's the right term of Chilul Hashem. It's like, don't misbehave because there people are looking at you. But I don't. It's an interesting thing. What does Chilul Hashem mean? It's maybe doing something really bad in the name of God. I don't know. I can't. I don't want to define it because I'm not really sure.
Mais il doit exister.
No, there is. I just don't want to define it. I couldn't look it up for.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so it's interesting that Tanya this mentions the 4 different kinds of sinning and how to forgive them, and by wanting to be forgiven when you do something, that makes you a Rasha who has good. Okay, so everybody can slip and sometimes do things that are wrong, but by feeling bad for it, for doing teshuvah, you're able to take those sins and elevate them and turn them into good if you do a real tshuva. Okay. Next, what is a Rasha viralai? Okay, the complete Rasha, the Rasha who has only bad. This is someone who doesn't feel guilty for anything he does. He's so disconnected, he's so unaware that anything he does, he doesn't feel bad for. He doesn't keep anything and he doesn't feel bad about it. Okay, so it's usually someone who's really disconnected, because the Lubavitcher Rebbe says that a Jew, his real desire is to do the will of God. So if someone got to the level of Rasha Viralai, of not even feeling bad for not doing any of Torah and mitzvot, it means that he's so disconnected that it's sleeping in him. He's unaware. It's like he's in a state of sleeping, unconscious. And it says that the good within him will never leave him. It's just not within him. It goes above him. It disconnects from him and it goes above him, but it's still there. And a beautiful way of it says, what does the Tanya say about his good within him? It's not within him anymore. It just goes above him. And the Tanya ends with this sentence: Akal be asara shchinta shraya. That anyone who's sitting with 10 people, the Shechina is with them. That means that even a Jew who's a Rasha Virala, if 10 of them are sitting together, even if they are disconnected, they're not talking about holy thing, but God is still within them, is still with them, because the good is on top of them. And I think it's such a beautiful way to end the Tanya, this chapter with. This chapter is a little bit hard to face, because this is where you face, your bad side and how, and your weakness. But to know that no matter what, even a person who's completely disconnected, who's unaware, and who does not feel bad for anything he does, when he's with 10 people, when 10 people of those are gathered, the Shechina, Hashem, still comes and rests upon them, because their good is hovering above them. And of course, the minute they awaken that good within them, it comes back within them. So I thought that was really nice. And another thing I saw in the Tanya, in the notes, it says that in the Megillah, and I actually opened up the Megillah to see if it's true. So I'm going to stop sharing. So I like talking to faces. I'm going to end with this. But the Megillah, in the Megillah, one of the word, Yehudim means Jews. It uses that word a lot of time. In one of them, where it talks about the hard decree that Haman gave them, the Yehudim has 2 yuds. Okay, so one person who likes to notice, who was a big thinker, he asked one of the rabbis, why does the Yehudim in the Megillah have 2 yuds? Not most of them don't have 2 yuds, but only the one where it talks about the harsh decree, it has 2 yud. And if you want, I can even show you, but we don't have time now. So the Rebbe said, because during the time of the Megillah, there was 2 types of Jews. There was the Jews who served God with their 10 soul powers, and there was the Jews who did not serve God but used their 10 soul evil powers, I guess, and they did not serve God. So there was both of these Jews. And when Haman made the bad decree, he said it's for everyone, those who keep Torah and those who don't. He didn't make a difference. It's not because you don't keep Shabbos or you don't have a kippah on or you don't, that I will make a difference. He said all Jews are going to be decreed, whether they're keeping Torah or not. Okay, so when the Yehudim had 2 yuds, it represented the 2 types of Jews. The types of Jews that have that use their soul powers for good things, and the types of Jews who do not, who use their evil soul powers, right? Because we have both sets. And so then the person who asked that question, he looked and he saw that even after the decree was over, when Mordechai and Esther were able to get rid of Haman and turn over the decree, he saw that the 2 yuds were there too. So he said, why is there still 2 yuds? He said, because after the decree, those Jews that used their soul powers for the wrong reason, their evil soul powers, both of them did tshuva, and they reconnected to God. Exactly. So I thought it was just, anyways, it was just something nice that the Tanya, the notes in the Tanya wrote. And to end off, we learned about the world of Tohu. I'm going to send you a Hatohu, or Tohu.
C'est quoi la définition de Hatohu en hébreu?
Hatohu et Tohu, c'est la même chose. Hatohu, c'est the Tohu.
Okay.
And Tohu, it's chaos.
Et ça
Chaos.
veut dire-
C'est le monde de
Tohu, c'est-
I don't know how you say chaos in French. But again, I just touched upon the world of Tohu, which is the source of, I guess, the source of evil, but it's really the source of goodness. Okay, we don't describe the world of Tohu as the source of evil, but the source of goodness, unlimited goodness. In our world, it comes out, the broken pieces are expressed as evil, and it's us to take them and harmonize them by using Torah mitzvahs and putting them into the vessels of the Olam HaTikun and bringing harmony again and light again. So that I will let you guys delve a little bit more into it with the article, and I mean you can Google it. It's a very deep concept, and it's a beautiful concept. And that's it. I hope
the title of the article again, so we can Google it.
What? No, I'm gonna send it to you on the group. I have it. Okay.
Okay.
So I hope you enjoy the class, and I'll see you next week.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.